The acquisition of Williamhouse Regency is another example of Glen being willing to wait for the right opportunity to acquire a competitor. Several times during our discussions, Glen and others talked about evaluating how an acquisition could impact the opportunity and security of Taylor employees. Williamhouse Regency was another perfect example of this.
Williamhouse Regency was divided into two parts. The first part was Williamhouse. Williamhouse was a supplier to the industry. So when I started with Mr. Carlson, he just started to buy some of this product from them. But it was very expensive. It was boxed. They weren't being very fair with him and stuff like this here. So I continued to buy from him, but I went out and found some other competitors and started buying from them, which really ticked them off. But they lowered their prices. They became a good supplier from us because they knew that I wasn't Mr. Carlson, and I would go elsewhere to get better prices if I had to. Their biggest customer by far was a company called Regency, and they were huge, a huge company, and they sold most of their product to them. And when they were for sale, they were afraid that they would lose that business, so they bought them themselves. Well, obviously, I didn't like that because now my supplier was my competitor. But that went on for quite a while. But to our advantage, they didn't run it very well. Things changed when the ownership changed. Before, they had one family owned it, and they ran it kind of with an iron fist. They had very little turnover. But once a New York company called Williamhouse bought them, it changed how hard they worked, their ideas. They didn't develop any themselves. They waited for Williamhouse to develop things. And they weren't the competitor they used to be.
We had a couple opportunities to buy in the wedding business, our main competitor, which was Williamhouse Regency. And I remember one summer I was on vacation and this thing heated up, and I could have just went back to Mankato because the vacation ended up being mostly looking at the acquisition. But I remember we backed out of it. Yeah, not necessarily because in some acquirer's eyes it wasn't a bad deal, but it was a deal that if we had made a mistake, and I remember Glen talking and the team talking about that distinctly, and him asking the question: if this doesn't go well, what could happen to the company?
We went in there and investigated and got all the information, but we came away that this was not a good buy, and we walked away from the deal. But we had lots of information. And from that, they didn't take that information and strengthen themselves. They let themselves continue to slide. And then at some point, the price got down to where it made sense for us just to buy them up and fold them in with our company.
In a lot of cases, competitors would come to us and say, okay, kind of like, I give up. now you can have us. But that was a good one. Regency was good, just knowing that we did it.
Luckily, it came around again at a much lower price, at a better time. And so that opportunity and security was something that was very real for us. And it was not only a motivator, but it was a guiding principle for us.